Yeah. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. You're just gonna sneak up on me while I'm taking a nap? Shame on you. All right, man. So as you guys know, we do have Superbet Romania going on right now, and it is round number 2. So I got Fabiano Caruana versus Wesley. So all of my people coming from the Philippines, I will say maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Post na nanonood ng aking my video. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Anybody else from around the world, of course. But if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, son. All right, so we got C4. It's not common that you see a C4 opening, but here we go. We do have E5. We got D3. Knight comes to F6. So starting the game off, you know, this is one of the most common replies to a C4 opening. You have two absolute main. This is called the King's English variation. You also do have Knight to F6. A lot of the times, you know, a black player, you know, they might want to like transpose it into like a true D4 opening. So instead of E5, you might have this, and then you have this, and then you pretty much got yourself into like a standard D4, you know, Indian type of opening. But we do not see that in the game. We do see this here. And something I will mention, this game, you know, you can definitely see both players are really trying to get out of like known theory. They're trying to kind of get into their own little positions. Because we do see knight D3, we got knight to F6, we got knight to F3, knight goes to C6, we got A3, we got G6, and then we do have the move G3. And I believe at this point, there's only like 10 to 15 games that have been played with this specific, you know, piece movement. These exact variations. So, like I said, both players are definitely trying to get out of what is known theory. And that is definitely something that you do kind of want to do. You got to be careful because you can be kind of risking, you know, some damage if you go too far outside the lines. But, you know, generally, you know, it's a good idea because then you just kind of throw your opponent off a little bit. You know, they might not understand the positions that you get in. So you definitely can get away with a little bit. We do see bishop to G7. We do see bishop to G2. We got the move D5. Definitely very common move to play. We do have pawn taking D5, knight taking D5. So you see black has kind of improved their position just a little bit. You know, they do have this knight nicely placed in the center of the board. I will say white's pawn structure is just slightly more passive than black's. But this move that was played earlier, A3, is definitely coming in handy because you definitely don't want any pieces dropping down into B4. We do see castles by white. We got castles by black. Bishop goes to D2. We see the move A5. We got knight up to C3. And then instead of capturing on C3, we do see knight going back to F6. And we have reached the novelty of the game. Very common for the knight to go back here. Like I said, you're in this position right here. You're basically choosing, do you want to capture on C3, which sometimes can give you pawn takes. And then you have rook moving over. You have a lot of pressure on this B pawn. So basically, knight taking C3 was just going to be giving white just a little bit too much. We do see rook going over to C1. Take that half open file. Super logical. We got a rook going over to E8. We do see knight up to B5. And I have to be honest with you, man. This is kind of dreaming. You know, black is not going to move this knight anywhere and just allow you to just capture on C7 with the fork C's on these two rooks. So you're kind of playing dream chess at that point. We do see H6. We got bishop to E3. Knight goes to D5. We got bishop up to C5. We got knight going back to B8. We do see the move E4. Knight goes back to F6. And this is something that's interesting in the position. We almost kind of have like a reverse Sicilian situation. You know, we have this backward D pawn. So at some point, you know, white is definitely going to want to try to push that to get rid of that weakness they have in their position. We do see the move A4, just giving the bishop breathing room, which you will see they will take advantage of here in a second. We do see B6, and then the bishop comes back to A3, like I was saying. You know, just getting it, you know, keeping it, maintaining that diagonal. You know, we definitely do want to continue to cut this king off. And, you know, black is definitely not going to do something like this and allow the exchange of these bishops. Because as you guys probably noticed, there are a lot of dark square weaknesses around the king. We do see knight to A6. We got the move D4, like I was saying, trying to get rid of the one weakness that we have in our position. And then we actually see the move bishop to B7. Some of you guys might be wondering, in this position, Why don't I take, I mean, doesn't this just undefend the e4 pawn? Like, why don't I take the e4 pawn with the knight? You absolutely can do that. It's going to be definitely a really strong position, you know, for white after you see the move knight takes e5, and you have just allowed this bishop to be 100% completely open. So like I was saying when I showed the Catalan game, you definitely want to be very careful about that stuff. But like I said, we do see bishop to b7. We got knight taking e5, bishop taking e4, bishop taking e4, knight taking e4, and we have actually reached a point in the game. There is a very nice move that Fabiano Caruana does find in this position. If you want to pause the video and try to guess and see what that move is, go ahead and do so. Okay, so like I was telling you guys a minute ago, this bishop is very strong on this diagonal, and there is actually a way to take advantage of the fact that the king is actually very cut off if there is a certain position that we see on the board. What we actually see in the game is knight takes f7, and this is absolutely 100% correct. You really don't want to take with this king because you are going to be looking at queen to b3, and there really isn't anything better than for you to go rook to e6, and then rook f goes to e1, and the pressure on this knight is enormous. You are x-raying through and hitting this rook behind the knight, so the knight really can't just retreat to anywhere. So it is a very dire position, you know, for black to be playing. But after we do see knight taking f7, we see Wesley, so true to form, he goes ahead and plays queen to d5, and this is absolutely the correct defense. You know, you do want to go back with this knight to e5, which does allow bishop to take, because it is very heavily defended. But this is absolutely the best way by far to defend the position. To not allow the king to be in that type of a situation. Also, you are cutting off this b3 check movement. We do see knight going to e5. The knight goes back to g5. We see h4. We got rook taking e5, pawn taking e5, and then the knight goes to f3 with check. And then amazingly enough, you kind of think, okay, I mean, you really can't go anywhere else at the end of the day. I mean, you can go g2 or you can go h1. You know, it is absolutely best to go king to h1, which is what we see in the game. And then the queen nestles herself back on b7. And this is actually a very interesting position because Fabiano Caruana almost is kind of won in this position at the end of the day. He definitely has a very nice move that he can play here. What we actually see in the game, which is very logical, is rook to c3. You know, we're just double attacking this knight. We're not really too worried about the check at the end of the day because you can get out of it. But in the position that we have here, it might kind of seem like you're throwing something away, but the absolute best crushing move in this position is knight takes c7. And you really don't have a whole lot of great options in this position. What knight takes c7 actually does is it allows you to counter the discover check with a check of your own, and then you're able to just get you know, your piece back here. But you would probably see knight taking c7, and then the rook would take, and then the queen would take, and then we would see queen to d5 with check. So that idea is presenting itself in different ways. You know, and this is definitely a very good position, you know, for the white side. This is borderline pretty much winning. A computer would play this with itself and basically win every time. But like I said, we do see rook to c3. It does allow knight to d2 with check. The king goes up to h2. We see knight taking f1 with check, queen taking f1, and then we do see queen going down to e4. So, you know, white definitely has a very strong position still, but there was that variation that we could have possibly seen that would have basically kind of sealed the deal. We do see the move f4 protecting e5. We got the rook going over to d8. We got queen to c4 with check. We are in a situation here where Caruana decides that he wants to just kind of simplify things and play just a little safer and get the queens off the board. So that is what we see with queen to c4 with check. Queen takes. We got rook takes, of course. We do see the move c5. Now, before, when this bishop was actually really great, the bishop is kind of biting on some stone here. You have to get the king in a better position because you definitely don't want the rook to come down on the 7th rank. So we do have to start getting that moving. So we do see the move h4. Pawn takes h5. And it might kind of seems like why am I giving the pawn away? Well, what you're doing is you're strapping black with a very harder in-game to play. You know, you absolutely do not want these double H pawns. They are like absolutely the worst doubled pawns to have on the entire board. And there really isn't a great way to fix them. So you have given up a pawn, but you have gotten quite a bit of compensation. And now everything is completely equal piecewise. We do see rook going over to e4. And I'm not going to lie, man, this position looks kind of dangerous for black. I mean, you know, you got these pawns that can possibly start rolling up here. So you definitely have to play a specific way. And that is what Wesley. So Wesley says, bro, I've been here before. We're good to go, son. I mean, you know, this ain't nothing that I haven't seen before. So we do see the best defending move, and that is bishop back to f8. We see king going over to g2. Like I said, trying to get your king in a better position, trying to make sure that these rooks coming down, the rook is not going to be coming down with any type of oomph. We do see king to f7. We got the move f5. We got bishop to e7. We do see the move b3. We got knight down to b4. The bishop goes down to c1. Targeting one of the doubled pawns on the h-file. And of course, black goes bishop to g5. You absolutely, under zero circumstances, want to capture on g5. You would just be helping black correct their pawn structure. And that is absolutely not what you want to be doing. We do see knight to d6 with check. The king goes over to e7. We got bishop to f4. And we are desperately trying to encourage black to take here. And then we're just going to have a mass of pawns in the center. Or you can always take with the rook here. But knight to d6 is definitely closing that rook off, and that is what you want. So that is something that you should probably learn from this. Whenever you do have rooks kind of maintaining or you know, maximizing themselves on open files, you definitely want to try to plug those files as best you can to try to limit what the rook is able to do. We do see knight going up to c6. The knight goes down to b5. We see knight to d4. We got f6 with check. The king goes to f7. We do see knight taking d4, pawn taking d4, and then we do see the move e6 with check. We got king taking f6, bishop going up to c7. And of course, you cannot move this rook over here to defend this pawn, so that pawn is pretty much gone. We do see a rook going over to e8. Bishop takes b6. We got the move d3. And you do have to be a little bit careful here, though, because if this pawn, you know, kind of gets one more square down, it can be you know, a little bit of an issue. So we do see bishop taking a5, and we are now trying to cut this pawn off. We do see d2, but the rook is able to cover on d4. We got rook taking e6, king going to f3. We got rook to e3 with check. We do see king to f2. Rook takes b3. We got bishop taking d2. And like I was saying before, you know, we did kind of have a problem when we were a little bit further over here. We don't really want to take bishop takes immediately because rook to e2 check would make us very sad. So we definitely didn't want to go with that. So we do need to get our king in a little better position, and that's what king to f3 was doing. So we do have this position here. So now if we see a rook to b2, we do have a king being able to go to e2, and everything is everything. And, you know, our pawn structure is just a little healthier than black's. We do see bishop taking d2, rook taking d2. We got rook to a3. We do see a rook to d4. We got king to g5, and then we have king to g2, and then we have a rook to a1. We got rook check. We got king to g4, rook check again, king back to g5. We see rook check again, king goes to g4. We got rook to d4 with check, king goes back to g5, and we do have a draw by threefold repetition. So I kind of feel like Fabiano Caruana, I feel like he would have calculated this in this game. Like I said here, after the queen went back to b7, I feel like somebody that is of his caliber would have calculated a knight taking c7 idea. And I'm honestly not sure why he didn't play it. I mean, Fabiano was actually definitely very strong enough to play that move. So maybe he calculated once, twice, and then couldn't quite see it all the way. He wasn't really running out of time, so it's a little puzzling why he wouldn't have went into such a variation, because you can see that if we deflect this queen away, this rook and this knight is also undefended completely. So it would have been something interesting to see. Not for Wesley So people, which I think most of you guys are, so it's good that he missed it. But yes, I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Let me see what I can say that I haven't said in a long time. Let me see. Like hello Ulit. I say that quite a bit. I've said that before. Yeah, Messiah Koma Kitty K Mule, I say that quite a bit too. Mugging Tequila. Appreciate you guys very much. Kai Bigan. Kamustana. I appreciate everybody very much. Let me see. Alma Saltayo, if you're eating some breakfast or getting a coconut shake. I know somebody who gets coconut shakes, man. But anyways, man, I appreciate you guys very much, and I'm going to see you guys next time.